All right, so the title of this activity is the Walk-a-thon. Diego, Elena, and Andre participated in a walk-a-thon to raise money for cancer research. They each walked at a constant rate, but their rates were different. Complete the table to show how far each participant walked during the walk-a-thon. So, once again, here we have a ratio table. Each column represents a different one of the participants, Diego, Elena, and Andre. And on the left, we can see the time in hours. So, we have to use our knowledge of ratios to complete this table. Let's start with Diego, because we have the most information about him. So, the first ratio that we see is 2 to 6 for Diego. So that means in 2 hours, he walks 6 miles. So we can pretty easily take that to find out how much time he walks in 1 hour. So 2 to 6, this is 2 divided by, if I divide 2 by 2, I get 1. So then I also need to divide this by 2. So I'm working backwards here. To go from the second row to the first row, I need to divide by 2. So that means Diego walks 3 miles in 1 hour, 6 miles in 2 hours, and then 12 miles in how many hours? So let's look at this row again. So to get from 6 to 12, I'm multiplying by 2. So to get from the second row to the third row, I need to multiply all of my values by 2. So that would mean that he walks 12 miles in 4 hours. And now for 5 hours, okay, so 2 and 4 are not factors of 5, so I'm actually going to use the information that I solved in the first row to answer this. So if he walks 3 miles in 1 hour, to find out how much he walks in 5 hours, I'm going to take the information from this first row and multiply it by 5. Because I multiplied the hours by 5, so I'm going to multiply his miles by 5. And I'm going to get 15. Alright, so now let's work with Elena and Andre. So we have a little less information for each of them, and their numbers are a little bit less kind to work with. Diego's are really nice because they're all simple whole numbers, but we can still figure out Elena and Andre just the same. So, I know to go from this row to this row, I have to divide by 2. To get from 12 to 6, I'm dividing by 2, so I'm going to take Elena's 11 miles that she walked and divide it by 2. So that meant she walked 5 5/10 miles in 2 hours. And then once again, here, I know to get from the second row to the first row, I can see here that I'm cutting this 2 in half, or dividing 2 by 2 to get 1. So I'm going to have to divide this by 2 as well. Get 2 75/100 miles. Okay? And then I remember that to get from this row to the fifth row, I'm taking this initial time in hours, that 1 hour, and multiplying it by 5. So I have to multiply her speed in 1 hour by 5. And she walks 13 miles. 13 75/100 miles in 5 hours. And now we can use the same skill set to solve for Andre. So, Andre, we know, walks 17.5 miles in 5 hours. So let's take that and find out how much he walks in 1 hour. Once again, in 5 hours he does this. So I'm going to take his distance in 5 hours and divide it by 5 to find his distance for 1 hour. And then here, 1 to 2 hours, that's multiplying by 2. So that means that he walked 7 miles in 2 hours, and then from 2 hours to 4 hours, that's doubling it again. So I'm going to double his 7 hours to find that he would go 14 miles in 4 hours. So how fast was each participant walking in miles per hour? So I'm going to write a ratio for each of them. Diego, Elena, and Andre. So Diego, I see, was going 3 miles in 1 hour. Elena would go 2 7/75 of a mile in 1 hour. And Andre was going 3.5 miles in 1 hour. So then we could write that in mph, miles per hour. Okay, now it says, how long did it take each participant to walk 1 mile? So we're going to take these ratios from before. Oops. So we have a unit rate of their speed in miles per hour. Now we want to find out how many hours it takes them to walk, how long it takes them to walk 1 mile. So for each of them, we have their miles, and we need to turn their miles into 1. So how can you turn any number into 1? Well, by dividing it by itself. So that means that Diego walks 1 mile in 1 divided by 3 is 1/3 of an hour. Of an hour per mile. For Elena, we have to divide both sides by 2.75 to convert her miles into 1 mile. One divided by 0.75 is this. I have a fraction, but not my calculator. So we will just write that. We'll leave that as decimal for now. So once again, that line underneath your decimal is just the symbol that that's repeating. So it takes her 36 hundredths of an hour to walk 1 mile. And Andre, we're going to divide both sides by 3.5. 3.5 is about 2.8. Let me round that to. Alright, so it takes him about 29 hundredths of an hour to go 1